Yeah, wrong uns. Let me just make sure that I've got everything. Yeah, yeah. It's been a while, so I'm just going to make sure that I'm not directly in your face. Wrong uns, how are you? It's been a lively old 10 days, let me tell you. I am still under the doctor. No, I'm not going to tell you what her name is, but I'm under the doctor, and the doctor has said that this should be okay this evening. And let me just make sure that I have that. I will explain in a moment once I'm kind of get my feet under the table. We have lots and lots and lots and lots to talk about tonight. Oh, blimey. We're going to get to some truth and some insight into, well, what it's since the end of January-ish, when Trump was inaugurated, the world is a completely different place. Completely different place. So we're going to talk about that sort of that shift in things, and politically and stuff that's going on in the world. All I can say is some takes on things. The sermon this evening is going to include the royals. You'll never guess who's put her foot in it. We'll talk about the JFK papers being released. We're going to talk about, well, the Epstein client list. Well, I never. Starmer, the loose cannon. Ukraine. Can I ask you a question? Who's making the bloody money? Because Sniffy's now turning around going, oh, yeah, right, my missus needs another Bugatti, and I need another hotel in Eilat, and, well, I need another $200 billion, please, mate. Donald. And Donald's like, hey, man, Foxtrot Oscar, how do we earn shite? I'm not even negotiating with you, because you're corrupt. You and your mate, Joe, the OCG. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the news. Like the news. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to get to your comments in just a moment. We've got some showbiz, some music, and Lucy Letby, innocent until proven guilty. Was she proven guilty? And just as a little aside, before I get to your comments and a lot of your comments while I was very poorly, I really do appreciate. But I'm just going to kind of throw this at you because, you know, the V for Vendetta mask, they were all the rage for a while. But do you know that V for Vendetta was actually set in 2038? So we've still got 13 years to go. I'm making a point by coughing before I have me hibiscus. I did take your guided, your wisdom, and I did think, actually, could it be the hibiscus? Well, I've had none, and I'm coughing, so I'm having me hibiscus with a little Jaeger bomb from young Stuart, who says, evening, Rev, hope you're feeling better. I've prepared some Jaeger bomb lem slips. You're utter wrong'un. They were a lifesaver. The lem sips, not the Jaeger bombs. If you need them this evening, Rev, I've added extra to your hibiscus to make it extra hot. Here's to feeling better. Thank you very much, kind sir. To Tom Harney's, evening, Tom. Evening, Rev. He says, hope you're feeling better. Some fortified Battenberg should get you back up and running again. Looking forward to tonight. Thank you, Tom. I did need some emergency Battenberg from the nuns, from the nunnery. I did say to them, I think I might need something a little more. Adrian, you can't say that. That's just utter filth and mucky. But yes, the nuns did look after me. I will say more about that in just a moment. Napoleon blown apart. Dear sir, hope the other side of the Atlantic is serving you well. Welcome back, Adrian. Hope you're feeling better and getting back to your loud-mouthed self. Did I tell you that I once had a horse race named after me at both Nottingham and Leicester races? And one of them was it the Loudmouth Stakes? Yeah, I think the one at Leicester was the Loudmouth Stakes, 3 o'clock. Would you ever imagine? 1999, possibly. So, Napoleon Bonaparte, welcome to the body of the Kirk, young sir. Plenty of room at the moment. We're still waiting for most of the audience to, the congregation to arrive. The gogs will come off. Once you know the gogs are off, it business. Paulie Galtieri, good evening, Adrian. Yeah, utter wrong, and hope you've been keeping well, sir. No, Paulie, I was feeling proper shite last week. Proper. It feels like an eternity since I've last spoken to you, unless since I've been able to stand here in the pulpit and deliver the sermon, the Wednesday or Sunday night sermon. Paulie, welcome to the body of the Kirk. In the field, look at the cobwebs in this place. Found a slab of mouldy Battenberg under the pews. Beggars can't be choosers, though. Evening all. Evening in the field. Welcome to the body of the Kirk as ever. And Rusty Mouse, the man is back. The legend. I wouldn't say legendary, but Rusty Mouse. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. And Andrew James, hope you're feeling better, Rev. Did you enjoy the film we supplied last week? What film? What film was that? I mean, I've seen a few, kind of pre-illness and post-illness. I will tell you, I've probably gone a bit inappropriate since I last spoke to you last. But I was in bed for 4 days straight, no food, very little water. When I did the last Sunday live, I finished the live and thought, I don't feel right. I think I'll just get myself, because it takes me a while to come down from these lives, from the adrenaline rush. And I just went to bed and then didn't get out of bed till Thursday morning. Literally not out of bed till Thursday morning. Obviously, the new Mrs. Allen thought that I was going to be dying. But her... no, I can't say that. Adrian, stop that. But I'm getting... I am. And we're going for... X-rays and stuff and NHS stuff. We're having more investigations, according to the doctor who I saw this afternoon, and they're not worried, but they do want to have a look and check that everything's okay, because nothing seems to be right at the moment, and they can't explain. Last week, 4 days in bed, sleeping constantly, can't explain it. I just put it down to some kind of it was more than a cold, but less than pneumonia, if that makes any sense to you. So it must be a bug that's going round. And now he says, I've caught another cough. I mean, how weird, man. Cough's a cough, surely. So I am feeling much better. Last week I was near death's door, to be fair. It was just man flu. Honestly, I swear it was just man flu. And we men know exactly how to play the man flu card. P.T. Ham says, hi, Rev, I hope you're feeling much better. And evening, all you wrong'uns. Bloody hell, even Amalia has remembered that we've got a live tonight. Evening, Amalia. Yeah, wrong'un. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. Amalia says, evening, all. And, hang on a second. In the field has a confession to make, Rev. He swapped his ticket for Dr. Robert to see Matt Goss. He even swapped earrings for bottle caps. Well, I never in the field. I've never met, I didn't, as in Dr. Robert, as in the Blue Monkeys, never met, or have I? Actually, I might have done when I was at TFM. But I've definitely met the Bros brothers, the Goss brothers, who I have to say, in a very heterosexual kind of way, that they have to be, other than sort of Elvis, two of the most beautiful men I've ever seen and met and spoken to. I must have told you the story. Yes, I have. I'll kind of tell it very quickly. I was working for Radio City in Liverpool, and Radio City was on Stanley Street, which literally you could just block the street off at the bottom and block the street off at the top, and nobody could get in or out. So it was very good for security. And we had the brothers coming into City for Radio City for an interview. I can't. So anyway, they get this limo into Stanley Street, and we don't know how to this day how people found out. Like the Brossettes or whatever they were called. But there was literally thousands of them turned up. They knew exactly what time they were going to arrive. They obviously were mad Bros fans, and they just pitched up just before the car came into Stanley Street. No, I have no idea how they found out who the leak was at all. But all the staff were standing on window ledges, kind of 5 and 6 stories up, and it was just utter chaos and pandemonium. And I was standing in reception as part of the reception party for the lads and the management and their security. And one of the things that stuck with me was the girls, because they were kind of prepubescent teenage madness. They literally were just like little fingers into any orifice. I'm talking ears and nose and gob and stuff. So the lads, it was like, door open, run, get in. And when they got in, it was all, they were a bit flustered and a bit, going to have to take 30 seconds to calm down. And they were literally just checking everything, their clothes, jewelry and everything. Because one of them, I think it was Matt, told me that every time they went out, they had to make sure that they didn't have any earrings in, they didn't have any chains around their necks, because if they did, little fingers would kind of hook into the earrings and they would lose ears and ear lobes and stuff. And I'd never really considered that before. But can you imagine? I mean, the dangers of being a heartthrob. But in the field, if you want to go and see Matt Goss, you do it, because he was very Michael Jackson-ish early in the day, but he's done a Vegas residency, so he's worth a few bob, certainly now. Nikki Watson, evening, Adrian. Hope you're better. Hi, all. Yeah, wrong. And Nikki, welcome to the Body of the Cook. Kathy Harper, evening, all. Kathy? Yeah, wrong. I think the pews are filling up now, so you might want to just kind of budge them up. Nathan Diamond, good evening, Adrian. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, wrong. Yeah, a lot better considering 10 days ago. And you can tell whether somebody's not right or feeling well, because the projection of their voice is much diminished. So we're kind of there. Simon Smedley. Hello. Evening, Simon. Welcome to the Body of the Cook. Yeah, wrong. I see you. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well. Yeah, I hope everyone in the congregation is fine. I hope nobody's spreading any germs. Get the Battenberg down you. Battenberg and a hot toddy. That'll sweat it out of you, and other things. Paulie Galtieri, Zelensky's begging bowl is empty. Oh, Paulie, you're reading my mind. You can give me the bloody lottery numbers at the weekend, because we are going to talk about Sniffy. No idea why. That was Paulie. Ray Norton, evening all. Evening, Ray. Welcome to the Body of the Cook, of course. Eileen Bilson, nice to see you back, Adrian. Eileen, lovely to see you in the Body of the Cook. Karina Jane, evening, stranger. Good to see you back. Thank you, Karina. Mine's a large one, if you don't mind. Soul Rebel, evening all. Evening. Soul Rebel, yeah, wrong. And Paul Morton, hello, one and each. Evening, Paul. No, I know, I'm just kind of getting back into the swing of things. Des Ashton, good to have you back, Rev. Evening all. Evening, Des. Thank you for your very kind message. Always appreciate it. Terry Wookford's even in the church early. What is going on tonight? What time do you call this? Been sat here a week now. Bless you, Terry. I hope somebody fed you. Unlike myself, I went without food for 5 days. Jesus, I've never been that long since I was in the womb, so to speak. I just need a little, needs to hit the back of the throat. Oi. Gary Davis, evening, Gary, good evening. Welcome to the Body of the Cook. What's Ray saying? Reverend's resignation incoming. Oh, really? Oh, I say, Ray Norton. Blood, hopefully God is a DJ. If God is a DJ, then Rachel from accounts will go back to complaints. Mind you, there's also a couple of others that are about to go. Andrew James, can we give a round of applause for Des? He won 500 quid on the pools. He's bought a house in Hartlepool for 400 quid and still has money left over for a car and a swimming pool. As long as it's not Michael Barrymore's. Paul Kerr, you sound poorly. Thank you, Paul. I have been very poorly. Yeah, wrong. And that was me and my finger before anybody says anything. Marley Grassy, you got any halls or cough sweets to calm the tonsils whilst talking? I've been munching them like sweets all week, but I'm hoping that ye old coughing cough will suffice this evening. Hang on. A couple more. Where are we at? Where are we at? Yeah, a couple more, and then we're getting right into it because we've got loads to talk about. Halls and cough sweets, Amalia, I wish. Cuban Pete, there are some new raspberry mini Battenbergs out, and very nice they are too. Oh, that's right, you're wrong and keep them to yourself, Cuban Pete. You could have brought some into the body of the Kirk for everybody to have a try. Nothing better than just a little nibble to get you going of a Wednesday evening. Manda Sky, lovely to have you back, Adrian. Manda, brilliant to be back. Although I was kind of getting ready for tonight thinking, I feel out of... I feel a bit rusty. Oh, no, my gogs are steaming up, for goodness sake. So thank you to everyone for your very kind words. We're now back into the body of the Kirk. I can see Yorkshire Steve. Evening, Adrian. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Yorkshire Steve. Muchly. Thank you. And Johnny Ray, fisherman's friend. I would never suck on a fisherman's... You've got... you see... The minute I start talking or laughing, off it goes. Johnny Ray, Victory V. No, I'm not sucking on them, and I'm not sucking on a fisherman's friend either. I mean, fancy doing that in public. Me and George Michael. Amalia Grassi. I've had Convid twice. Well, I don't know whether it was, because all the tests that I have were out of date. I wasn't going to spend that. I mean, they're like Rocky Horse shite now. I mean, I could go to the doctors and go, "Hey, doctor, do you think?" And he just said, "No, we'll get you into hospital. We'll get some bloods and we'll get some x-rays done, see what's going on." Oi. Adrian struggling to get his line about the fisherman's friend there. Yeah, in the field. I know, it's terrible. Terrible. The old ones are always the best ones, though. Vladimir Zelensky rages at Donald Trump. Oh, bless him. It'd be like a 2-year-old having a tantrum. Can you imagine? He's only 3'6". He's cockeyed, and he wears fatigues all the time. Yet, because people are saying, "Oh, well, it was Russia that started the war." Was it bollocks? Was it bollocks? It was the Americans that started the Ukraine-Russia war. It wasn't the Russians at all. They're saying, "Oh, well, Russia kind of the last 3 years. Well, yeah, you've got to go back to pre-2008 when America decided to get the president of Ukraine gone and get their little gay boy in there to sit there with some fatigues on to make out like he was acting like an actor in a film, wearing fatigues all the time." And I just thought, look, the greatest leaders of the 20th century, Winston Churchill, did you ever see him in bloody fatigues? No, because he wasn't playing a part. He was a leader of the country, and a mighty fine leader he was too. Terry Wookford, 2014 or before. Was that the usurping of the then president? Can't remember his name off the top of my head. But America was like, "Oh, here, Foxtrot Oscar, you. We're going to put somebody else in because obviously we need to launder some money, some major heavy money, like, mate." Paulie Gallieri says, "I'm so glad that Trump has told Zelensky to Foxtrot Oscar, because Zelensky was playing President Poopy Pants like a fiddle." Excuse me. But now Zelensky's like he's playing the game. He's playing a very good game. Now he's speaking English. Before, beginning of the war, he wouldn't speak English, had to be translated. Now, oh, surprisingly, he can speak English when he's making speeches. But as I've said to you before, he claims that half the money that America gave to Ukraine's gone missing. Well, it's buying bloody hotels in Eilat. The new owner of that hotel in Eilat happens to well, it's not bloody Joe Biden that owns it. so there's all this kind of going on. It's been laundered. Ukraine, in my view, the most corrupt country, and there's a fair few of them around the globe, the most corrupt country by financial levels by a country mile. And now he's like, oh, right, I'm not playing if Donald and Vladimir, not Volodymyr, Vladimir is not playing ball. So I am going to talk about that tonight. Also going to, we'll talk about, I don't know whether you're of a certain age that might have been around when the Jam were in their pomp. Going to talk about Rick Butler in just a moment or two. But next live, 23rd of February. That's this coming Sunday. Yeah, wrong. This is live 148. And I was trying to time it so that live 150 would be on a Sunday. But sadly, it might have to be a Wednesday night. So this coming Sunday, the 23rd of February, 8 o'clock, next live. Thankfully, the nuns from the nunnery, you know why they call a nunnery, don't you? Because the nuns don't get nunnery. Eating rifles, Napoleon blown apart. Stephen Hall, remember the Jam? Me too. The reason I mention it is Rick Butler, as he was known, the drummer in the Jam, died yesterday. Real name, Paul Richard Buckler. So it was, I have quite an archive of interviews that I've done over the last 40 years or so. And Rick was one of them. He'd only been out of the Jam, I think it was 84. So the Jam finished around about December 82. Must have been 18 months, maybe 20 months after the Jam. So he was still very raw about it. And I don't know where, I think it's still on quarter inch rather than a DAT or anything, but I will try and find it at some point. That he was, I interviewed him on his own, and I interviewed Bruce Foxton in 86. He released Play This Game to Win, I think it was the single, and he was doing the rounds, all the commercial radio stations. So I interviewed Bruce Foxton in 86. Bruce was a little bit more spiky around the ending of the Jam, but Rick was kind of resigned to it. 18 months down the line, he was quite, I wouldn't say he was bitter, but it came across in the interview, because it was so recent and so raw, that obviously he was going to be a little spiky when I interviewed him. And he was a lovely guy. Came at the radio station, sat down with him for about 20 minutes or so. Did a, it's called a package. So we did a package on air of him, some Jam music, some stuff, and we edited it. But I would say that he was a little bitter, but he was putting quite a sanguine, quite a brave face on things. Because obviously Weller had gone off to do the Style Council, and Foxton and Rick Buckler were, well, they were left high and dry, really. But nice man, super nice man. It's such a shame that he's gone so early. Do you know the Jam had 18 consecutive UK top 40 singles from their debut in 77 to their breakup in December 82, including 4 #1 singles? I mean, there was a day where you just go, oh, the Jam have released a new single, poof, #1. I mean, they were massive. Going Underground was one of my particular favourites. Loved the Jam. And I felt very honoured to be able to interview Rick so close to the Jam breaking up, sadly. But just a small homage, small commemoration, because he managed to column inch in the Mirror. Nobody else mentioned it. I mean, how sad is that? One of the greatest bands, biggest bands of the back end of the 70s and early 80s. And the media nowadays are not really covering it for whatever reason. I am going to explain that, as I said to you, as part of the sermon. Where's the news gone? I'm going to explain it to you. I mean, the newspapers are not worthy of wiping your backside on nowadays. So why don't you put them on YouTube, your interviews, says Sam. Sam, I would, but as I've said before, there was a certain individual that if I did anything and I uploaded it to the net, they were just copying it. And in the end, I just thought, stuff that for a lark. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. So I'll just leave it offline. And I have done until now. I mean, I've done some of my radio stuff on here. There's a radio playlist of some of the stuff, some rantings, some funny stuff, some sweary, mary, shouty, combative stuff, and some of the real funny stuff from South Wales. Paul Kerr says, Butterfly Collector, my fave. Stephen Hall says, any Belfield news? No. Oh, wait, man, Stephen, I've been ill. What would I want to keep my eyes open for that for? Some of the stuff that we talk about on these lives, I just sort of throw them out and leave them there. That's why these lives are like a historical document of the time. That's why they're all numbered. So you can go back to roughly the date that they were broadcast and find out what was going on. One of them, I told you, 6 months ago, easily 6 months ago, that Doctor Who was done, finished, over. I told you it was too woke. And I told you that the old audience, which was the young white male, was no longer there because they'd shafted the audience. And I said to you that the Americans wouldn't stay for this because if it's not getting, if Disney are putting a ton of money into a BBC broadcast, then they want to see some kind of audience return. And they're not getting that now because the Americans, namely Trump and his administration, are eviscerating wokerati. They're eviscerating anything to do with anything being woke. And now you've got the BBC and Disney making, it's a technical term that we use in radio, utter shite, man, in Doctor Who. I told you 6 months ago they were killing it. And it wouldn't be long before the Americans pulled out, and the Americans are pulling out. And then the current Doctor Who, I'm not even going to attempt to say his name. He's obviously English. That was a TV show. Alas, Smith and Jones. Remember the Western? Or am I of a certain age? So Disney are getting cold feet. It's the Trump effect. America doesn't want to watch woke stuff because they've had enough of, the leftist Biden. Do you know that Camel Toe signed up to some massive agency in Hollywood agency? Now, obviously, that's to kind of grift the money for all the speeches. So she'll get millions and millions and millions for doing what? Well, absolutely bugger all, to be fair. She was the border czar, didn't out. Trump's been in virtually a couple of weeks and they've closed the border down to such an extent that over 90-odd% incoming has been stopped. Doctor Who will be back, given 3 to 4 years. And Kuti Gatwa was a move too far. I kind of go with that, Terry. I agree. But you see, I remember when they killed it off in the 80s, the BBC, because the BBC are not really interested in the audience. That's why I say take away the TV license. Give them commercial sensibilities, and then they'll stop all this woke shite that goes on in the BBC. By the way, have you got a sick note from your wife? She made me do it, Your Honour. Sick note? Bloody hell. I only just survived the thrashing. Tom Harney says, I remember the Virginian. Isn't that Doom Goblin? Is she still a Virginian? Brilliant. Johnny Ray wins the internet tonight. Woke? Question mark. More like wank? Question mark. Soul Rebel, Alas Smith and Jones. So let me explain this. So when they brought Christopher Eccleston back, Christopher Eccleston is one of my favourite actors because he's just amazing. I've seen him do Shakespeare. I've seen him live in theatre, Darling Theatre. And he's just an amazing actor. So when they brought him back, I just thought, I'll give that a watch. And little Billy Piper. Yeah. Chris Evans, dirty dog. But when it was Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper, I thought it was brilliant. Yes, I get some of the layers, I get some of the leftist, because it wasn't woke at that point, it was kind of tickling left. And then all of a sudden they got Tennant in with Billy, because Christopher only did, was it a year he did? But what a year that was. I mean, maybe 2 years. So I loved all of his work as Doctor Who. I'm from the generation that literally would watch it in black and white before there was colour telly. And then you would get the Daleks, and the Daleks scared the bejesus out of me. I mean, oh, come on. Would they scare you now? No. I've seen worse on a Saturday night in Newcastle. So but some of the stories were really clever. Really clever. But as I got older, I just realised, it's all just, stuff and nonsense. The Daleks are not going to put the willies up me, Your Honour. And it was all fine. Christopher Eccleston comes back. Wonderful. Brilliant. Marvellous, darling. Marvellous. And then we get 10-inch Tennant, and we get... Jesus. The Scottish guy who was supposed to be really edgy and then wasn't, from the thick of it. So he came in, and I was like, oh, well, he's kind of, the coat's all right, but, oh, yeah, man, what's happening in the storylines? They're a bit, hang on a second, who said that? Paulie Galtieri, Hugh Edwards might put the willies up you, though. I'll have to send him pictures first. He wouldn't want to see me naked. Peter Capaldi, of course. Thank you, the Jacobite and Terry Wookfit. Peter Capaldi, just after the thick of it, I thought, oh, yeah, he's not going to be able to swear at the kids, although I would love him to. I mean, can you imagine people swearing on Doctor Who at the kids? Can you imagine the trauma? Matt Smith was a good one. Yeah, all right, Garen Davis. Matt Smith, yeah, definitely. So you had kind of... You had Christopher Eccleston, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, 10-inch Tennant, and you're thinking, brilliant. I mean, wonderful actors, because they're believable. All of them were believable, except I wanted Peter Capaldi to just tell people, Foxtrot Oscar, tell the aliens, here, mate, Foxtrot Oscar, I'm the Doctor, me, I'm eternal. And then we get a bloody... Now, I'm not being misogynistic. It's just my preferences here. I want, I want Derring Do, I want stuff, and I want blokes to kind of take the aliens on. He never fought them. He just got his sonic screwdriver out. You want a screwdriver, mate? No, not for the moment. I'm just changing the tyre. Tom Baker, yeah, in the scarf. He's looking a bit old now, looking a bit frayed round the edges. But then they brought, I'm not even going to mention her name, they brought that woman in because they thought it was really clever. Oh, we're the BBC. We can do whatever we want. No, you can't. You can start Oscar. You're killing our heritage. You're killing our childhood. I mean, Greta Thunberg, the Doom Goblin, she's, oh, you're ruining my childhood. Here, mate, Foxtrot Oscar, we've had all this. We've had the shite that you think you're getting, but we've had it even worse when we were kids. Bloody hell, they even put lead on little corgi cars. We'd be licking those. It's not killed us yet. So, and his assistant Roy Castle, who was that one? Or Peter Cushing. Oi, 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 oi. Remember the horror movies on a Friday night on the telly? It was Werewolf and Frankenstein, and that was trauma. Forget the little Doom Goblin, Greta Thunberg. Oh, you've ruined my childhood. Try watching those bloody horror movies on a Friday night thinking they were real. And she just, honestly, it just felt I was being nagged on Doctor Who. She was always right, bless her. So I don't, Hammer House of Horror, love them. Oh man, Lauren, don't make me say her name. I said at the time, she's killed Doctor Who. Killed Doctor Who. Her, single-handedly. And then the BBC go, how can we outwoke ourselves? Oh, we'll get a little black boy in. And the Americans have gone, because look, the Americans are more racist than we Brits. And the BBC are more woke than the Americans. So they've kind of obviously had their meetings with Disney Plus, and they've gone, right, lads, what we're going to do, Nkunti Gatwa, he's a brilliant little actor, we're going to bring him in. And they're like, is he from England? Oh, yeah, he's from England. And now he's legged it. Today, the latest is he's legged it. Because obviously he doesn't want the death of Doctor Who laid at his door. Because that's what's going to be. Jodie Whittaker, bless her, she got out and it didn't look like she'd killed it. But those fans of us that were long-term viewers of Doctor Who knew exactly who killed it. The BBC and then Jodie Whittaker. In my view, and I'm allowed it, it's an opinion, Des Ashton, screwdriver, no thanks, I would rather a long, slow, comfortable screw up against the wall, Des. Soul Rebel, Peter Tomlinson or something doing the horror movie intros. Brilliant. Was it Peter Tomlinson? Hang on. Sir Keir Starmer backs president. Oh, man. Honestly, I wish that moron would just go off. I know he's being told by Klaus what to say, and somebody's got their hand up his arse pulling the strings with Starmer, but there's an alert sent out saying that Sir Keir Starmer backs President Zelensky as Ukraine's democratically elected leader. Has he been at the cooking sherry, that idiot? Zelensky was never bloody elected. He was put in regime change by America so that the OCG family could make, they reckoned that Biden got nearly $100 million out of Ukraine. And that's peanuts compared to how many billions went in. So that moron that's calling himself or perpetrating to be prime minister is talking about Zelensky being the democratically elected leader. Somebody want to have a word with him? Or his kids? How many? So, Doctor Who, I think what is happening right now and for the next 4 years is, and I'll make a prediction, that those leftist tech companies that have always been leftist, well, you know, the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and I know they're all meta, but some of the leftist tech companies are suddenly doing a 90 degree and going, if you want to tar them with this brush, they're going to the right in politics. And, you know, the AI, I looked at something at AI earlier today just to check some facts out. And AI is even right-wing. So it's siding with the government of the day. So maybe that's the way things are going to happen over the next 10 to 20 years. That, and I've said this numerous times before. We'll get to Doctor Who in just a moment. The Labour Party and the Conservative Party are done, finished, over, eviscerated, because the political classes know that to be their power base and they want everything to be at their behest. No. So I think it was in Germany, they were running polls with kids, asking them who would they vote for if they were able to vote, and they were all like right-wing, AFD, right-wing. And everybody's like, no, you can't do that. Well, people are sick and tired of shit, man. They're sick and tired of taking a kicking while they're on the ground. And you know this for absolute surety. If there's a boot on your neck, it doesn't matter which government it is, there's still a boot on your neck. And people have had enough. We're now seeing the worm turning in America, where America felt like they couldn't do anything about it. I mean, they're getting rid of Doctor Who. Maybe Terry Wook fits right. Give it 3 or 4 years. They'll come back with a more masculine actor. And, I mean, give it Andrew Tate. I am joking, by the way. But it's that the kids now are so sophisticated because they've had that thing in their hand that they're just scrolling through all day, every day. They are technically very savvy. This is a generation that, like my generation, can't get one over on because they're just quicker and more erudite and they're more educated and sophisticated. So America is now breathing a sigh of relief, saying, well, we'll get rid of Doctor Who because it's woke shite. And I said this to you weeks ago, that America, now we will get more hero movies where Americans play the heroes. We will have more hero movies, whether it's historically or future-based, but America will become the world's policeman, army, hero, if you wish. So media are going to, and the tech companies are going to have to catch up with that. They're going to have to catch up with everybody. When, Facebook, I wouldn't piss on that if it was on fire. I mean, I've had a profile on there since 2006. So I've had a generation of that particular tech or social media platform, if you wish. But do I use it? Not since they started. Can you, and let me just offer this to you. 5 years in March that we would have gone into our first lockdown. 5 years. And remember when all these morons, these scum-sucking pond life, I've had my jab, and all their profile pictures were like, I've had my jab. Good luck with that. He's still alive. Because we'll talk about the jibber jabber tonight. I still won't use the full word. I won't use the V word. V for vendetta. I won't use that, even though the social media platforms are doing a complete 180, moving away from their position. And I just watch. Just watch. I've said to you that they're going to have to move. They're going to have to be light on their feet, and they're going to have to move from their position, which was somewhere left of Stalin. And now that Trump's in, whichever political hue you want to say, but I will tell you this, and I've told you it a million times, as well as how things were going to go down, that Trump is not looking at being a right-wing political leader. He's definitely not a left, but he's looking at his place on Mount Rushmore. He just wants to be, and I've said this over a year ago when he announced his decision to stand for the presidential nomination for the Republican Party. I said to you, he wants a place on Mount Rushmore. I've said it a million times, and he does. That's why he's doing the right thing. And when Sniffy comes out and goes, oh, I'm not very happy with you, Donald. Donald just says, here, little boy, go off. I'm not interested in you either. So we'll wrap up Doctor Who and say that I think Terry Wookford's got a real good handle on that. Movies catch up after 2 years, production and post-production being the cause. Of course, Terry, but I think Doctor Who, they're going to have to take it away. They're going to have to take it off air. They're talking about Tennant coming back in just to sort of take over for a little while and babysit it so that they can keep it going. But it's the BBC. The BBC will continue to make mistakes because they don't get that we, the audience, want something different that them, the production team, want. Because they want to be clever. They want to be urbane. They're part of the usual media halls in London, or is it Manchester now? They want to be, I work in the media. Well, I've told you this before. Blue Peter, gone. Doctor Who, gone. So Blue Peter, how are they going to announce that to the kids? How are they going to announce that to me and you? I mean, I wouldn't go back to watch with Mother. I had the trauma of staying with my auntie for a little while, and she said, oh, you can't watch it. I said, why can't I watch it? She said, your mum's not here. How brutal is that for a 6-7-year-old? But it's, some people would go, bloody hell, Adrian, you're talking about Doctor Who and the BBC, the work Radi. That's a bit lightweight, isn't it? I think you'll find, if you look at the layers, it's multiple layers. And they are literally taking a hacksaw to our youth, our heritage, who we are. Doctor Who was clever. It was there for the adults. It was clever. It was taking an insight into what was going on in society at that point, and then giving, scary Mary ghosts and stuff for the kids to scare the bejesus out of them and get them behind the sofa. I'm not coming out. Is it the Daleks this week? I'm not coming out. And the parents are just sitting there laughing, going, Jesus, they're talking about the Harold Wilson government again. So it's done, but not completely. Done. I want to get into I want to get into Trump and Russia. We are going to have things that make you go in just a little while, because I've got some fabulous stuff, some fabulous information. Could Jibber Jabber face a ban for all Americans in a radical U-turn by the Trump team? Oh, you bet your sweet baby. So again, we're getting along that route in just a moment. But I want to talk about more Trump and Russia, because, and in a way, I'm glad that I did do this, because at some of the times when I was announcing it, I was thinking, I can't be psychic. I don't get the bloody lottery numbers. So how can I, with any surety, say that Putin wants to negotiate peace, and then Volodymyr Zelensky wants to negotiate peace at the same time at different times? And Trump is saying that, well, if I'd been president, there wouldn't have been any war in Ukraine. And I just thought to myself, I can't say, oi, 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 oi. And I just thought, feck it. So I'd come on these lives because I just knew in the pit of my stomach that nobody wanted the war. They wanted the money. And I told you the reasoning behind the wooden top, says Tom Arnie. Yeah, wrong and weed. I'll wait for you. Obviously, they're off the tits, the pair of them. So I would look at what Putin was saying, and all Putin is after, this is his raison d'etre, his reasoning behind everything that he does, is he wants to shuffle off this mortal coil and leave Russia energy independent. I told you that's why they went into Afghanistan in the 80s, because of the oil and gas under the Caspian Sea. Now, just a couple of days after 9/11, those whatever it was that went into those towers, and whoever pulled WTC-7, because amazingly, it just fell of its own accord, Your Honour. Aye, right. So Putin was over at Bush's ranch, and they negotiated building a pipeline out of the Caspian Sea down south to a warm water port in Pakistan, including going through the Tora Bora mountain range in Afghanistan, where Osama used to live with his kidney dialysis machine in a cave that the CIA provided for him. You think that I'm lying? Do your research. Kidney dialysis machine in a cave that the CIA built for him so that they could stop the bloody Russians from getting into the Caspian Sea for the oil and the gas. And then a couple of days afterwards, you would have thought that it was like an American project, flying things, pulling towers down, and then saying we're going into Afghanistan for the oil and the gas. And they're still pumping it out now. Sorry, Caspian Sea, just slightly north of Afghanistan. And so that was all sorted. And then Trump's gotten into power. First thing he does, he's called the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, because seemingly there's an agreement where America wouldn't start drilling for gas and oil in the Gulf of Mexico. So what's the easiest thing in the world to do? Honestly, my incontinence pants have been full to bursting every single day, because he's just changed the name. So technically, he's not drilling for gas and oil in the Gulf of Mexico. No, he's drilling for gas and oil in the Gulf of America. So you're forgetting that Trump wanted Greenland, Trump wanted Canada, and they've got Alaska. So there's oil in them there hills in Greenland, and minerals, and Ukraine, and Russia already have Crimea. So I'm not here to kind of preach, even though I am the right irreverent reverend, and I am on the pulpit with me sermon. It's just, you can see what these people are at. And it's about energy independence. China found all this gold. The minerals in Ukraine technically will fall into the lap of BlackRock. And BlackRock own everything. The farmers, the big farmers, along with JP Morgan, and that's what they're after. That's why they've got trillions of dollars worth of assets. So Sniffy Zaleski has had his nose put out a joint. Not joint, just joint. And the reason for that is Trump and Putin are negotiating the Ukraine deal. Not BlackRock. Russia, Putin, America, Trump. And Sniffy's like, oh, lads, hang on. But I'm going to quote. Trump, he was being interviewed and he was asked about criticism from Ukraine, seemingly to direct his response to little Sniffy. And I quote, well, you've been there 3 years. This is at Sniffy Zelensky. You've been there 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never been there. You should never have started it. You should have made a deal. And obviously little Sniffy's going to Europe going, the big orange man, he's shouting at me. He's making me upset. I'm just a little gay boy. Have you not seen him dance? He's the gayest straight man I've ever seen in my life, dancing. Maybe you should go in the West End. Oh, he's got plenty of time on his hands. Time rich. Dollar poor? Don't be stupid. He's got billions tucked away. He'll have them in some Swiss bank accounts, man. So Trump's upset at him because Zelensky's pointing at Trump going, don't cut me out of any negotiations. Of course not, Your Honour. It'll all be about the Benjamins. It's all about, give me money. Show me the money. Show me the money. And they're not. They're like, oh, how do we shite, man? You were a puppet. You were a Manchurian candidate. You were put in there by Brown trousers, President Brown trousers, and you've had your time. You've had your day. We're carving it up now. So now Europe at war. That's unusual. We've had 2 great wars, first and second one in Europe. But have you heard about Starmer's peace plan? Now, if you look at Trump and Putin, they're getting the job done. Putin wants Crimea. He wants the Black Sea, because under the Black Sea, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years worth of oil and gas. I mean, the Bulgarians want to have a say. The Turks, the Ottomans go, oh, Jesus. I mean, we've been, the West and the Christians have been at it with Saladin and the Turks and the Ottomans for literally thousands of years. That's why there was the Crusaders. That's why there were the Templars. And all of a sudden, Putin's doing a deal with Trump. Now, Trump being a builder, as in Bob the Builder, he just wants to build stuff because he knows with BlackRock and some of the other Vanguard and State Street and JP Morgan, they're all in there with their grubby little mitts, knowing that they're going to make billions. And Trump just wants to rebuild Gaza, just wants to rebuild Ukraine, because that's where the main money is. The major money is in the rebuilding of a country after a war. Now, Zelensky has killed off 500,000 of Ukraine's young men. What that means is that Ukraine won't be able to get babbied up. They won't be able to start knocking the kids out once the war's over. Why? Because they haven't got any men to be able to knock up the Ukrainian women. 500,000 Ukrainian men gone because Zelensky wanted a new Bugatti out of France. Or his missus. And half the money's gone. So Trump wants to rebuild. Putin wants the oil and the gas, because for the next few hundred years, Russia will be energy independent. So now we've got, I mean, I don't even know what to call him now, because he's had so many bloody names. He's a moron. The Prime Minister is simply, in my view, a moron. But now he's saying, we need to get boots on the ground in Ukraine. What? Yeah, we'll send some British squaddies over. We've only got 20,000 active troops. Where do you think they're going to go? Oh, no, sorry. We've got 20,001 active recruits. Because his son is 17. Starmer, his son, is 17. So I want it on the telly. I want Starmer to give his son his uniform and his rifle and his boots. And we're going to send you up to Catterick, 6 weeks, basic training, then you're off out to Ukraine. son. Look, I'm not stupid. You won't bloody see that. Because if you look at anywhere online, you have to add 2 and 2 and come up with 4. But Starmer's boy, he's 17 now. Remember, he was doing his GCSEs during lockdown and wanted peace and quiet over at Lord Ali's flat. So him and his son went over to Lord Ali's flat. So we're 5 years down the line from lockdowns. Thank you, Stuart. So Europe, this amorphous mass that is just chaos and a mess, because I wonder when Germany is going to go back to the Deutschmark. I wonder when France is going to go back to the franc. They're going to do everything within their power to make sure that the European super union stays together. Oh, had a we in shite, man. We've had enough in this country. That's why we left in 2016. And they want us to go back in and just bomb our economy. So if anybody's keeping an eye on any developments with Rachel from accounts as to whether she's going to hand in her, mind you, if she's going to hand in her resignation letter, can we believe the resignation letter? Because we can't believe her bloody CV. So Europe's at war over Starmer's Ukraine peace plan. Germany, Scholz stormed out, mince, out of a crisis summit and slams the UK's, that means Starmer's, complete premature troops pledge. From what I'd heard, there was nothing premature about young Kia, 2-tier Kia, 3-gear Kia, queer Kia, queer as folk. So Starmer has called for the US, that's America, that's Trump the Orange Man, to provide a backstop for any deal in Ukraine. And the European leaders evidently appear to be panicking over the prospect of confronting Putin without American military might. Of course! Europe, I mean, if you look at the French, we'll talk about World War II and the French resistance. My hairy backside. We had to go in and save their necks. And the Germans, well, you know what we did to them. So there's not a good fight in the whole of Europe. The Italians, you know why they've got the Italians have got boots on the front of their shoes so they can walk backwards quicker. You know why Italy is shaped like a boot, don't you? And there's the Italian tanks in World War II. 5 gears, 1 forward, 4 reverse. So, look, we're just sitting here going, lads, look, this is what we're going to do, right? Because we're the British. We've got the Scots with us, the mad iron brew-haired ones from the porridge gobblers. And we've got the English, who love a bit of a scrap. And we've got the Welsh. They're funny. And the Irish, well, look at how much hassle they gave us in the back end of the 60s and the 70s. So we're all scrappers on this sceptred isle. And the Europeans are going, oh, no, chaps, you can't do that. Well, I think you'll find we can. We can do whatever we bloody want. Because every time we've had a scrap with you, we've kicked the shit out of you. You don't want us coming across in the dinghies that are left on the Kent coast, do you? So, according to little Sniffy, oh no, you can't do the deal over the gas and the oil. I want a bit of that. Look, you've got a hotel in Eilat. How did you get that then? On your presidential wage. You're wrongin'. And how did the missus buy a $6 million Bugatti in France? What, was it giving it freebie? So, gas, oil and Crimea, and then you've got all of oh, feck it, I don't care. They've got all the underground bases in the Ukraine. Did you not know that? Yeah, they've got all the minerals in Ukraine. I know they call it the breadbasket of Europe or the world, but there's stuff in Ukraine that they're not telling you about. That's why the Europeans, their backsides are going 50p sixpence. That's why, because they don't want anybody on their doorstep, like the Russians, who go, oh, yeah, that underground base you've got there. Can we have a look at that? We won, technically. We won the war. Let's have a look. To the victor, the spoils. Terry Wookford, Italy's mountain units are well tasty. Why? Are they all women? I haven't skied in Italy. I understand it is fairly tasty in those mountains, but I mean, look at what's his face, the fascist dictator in Italy, Mussolini. Ended up hanging from lampposts, Mussolini, with his bollocks out. So if you're upset, well, I mean, you know, the mafia's Sicilian, but don't have the Italians have a go at the Sicilians, because the Sicilians get very upset at the Romans having a go at the Sicilians. It's the Sicilians that are tasty, not the bloody Italians, in my view. So I think that with the deal having already been done, Sniffy's getting a bit out of he's getting his panties up in a bunch because of the gas and oil and Crimea. So if you look at the Black Sea and who surrounds the Black Sea, Crimea is at 12 o'clock, pole position-ish. Terry Wookford, he was dead when they hung him and his girlfriend up. I know. But in this country, we would have hacked his head off and stuck his head on a pike down down near the Tower of London at one point. I mean, what's his face? The blue face, the Scot. He came down from Scotland and was caught near Newcastle and then was dragged down to London to be hanged, drawn and quartered. We don't mess about in this country. What, you think we're nice and cuddly and we talk funny language and we eat funny food? Yeah, we do. But when we turn, that's it. We're done. And some of the gruesome stuff that we've done over the last 1,500, 2,000 years, not nice. Not nice. But if they want to take us on and have a go, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. I'm telling you, you're not. That's to the Europeans, of course. They're not really bothered about having us involved or having our army, our boots on the ground. They just want our money. They want our money. And I'm going to get to something in a moment, because I am going to scare you tonight. Because the way you think things are, they're not. And the things that you've been fed by the media that was bought off by US aid, that Doge has now found out is completely and utterly corrupt. So the money was going places. And who's got the money in Fort Knox? Who's got the gold? I'm going to tell you. They've not allowed anybody to see the gold since 1974. What do you think? You think there's gold in Fort Knox? Halloween shite. The reason why they won't let anybody in and they're saying it's as secure as Fort Knox is because they don't want anybody finding out what the truth is. It's not gold! Mind you, they should ask Gordon Brown. Gordon Brown sold off 500 million worth of gold bullion. Bullion! Not kind of promissory notes, promise to pay the bearer of, because money's just a human construct. It doesn't actually exist. But gold does. And Gordon Brown sold off. I'm going to tell you in a little while. Hang on, where's... Terry Wookford, you're wrong. Some big boys did it and ran away. So we'll get to... because it's all unravelling. We can pick it apart in little bite size, but it literally is falling apart for the Europeans. So I'm going to ask you before I get to that. I've already told you about Starmer's son, 17-year-old. So he can join the army at 16 if he wants to become an officer and a gentleman, rum, bum and baggy. He's got to be 18 to join the Ruperts. Some people will know what I'm talking about. So he's old enough to serve in Ukraine, 17 years old. Now, I've been doing some sort of number crunching. So Starmer marries Victoria, May 2007. And his son, firstborn, was born less than a year after that. So say that's kind of, say, summer 2008. He's there or thereabouts. He qualifies. He qualifies for the army. I will guarantee you this. None of the mainstream media, the bought-off media, will be telling you that. Because look, when Ginger Bollocks went across to Afghanistan and he was playing his PlayStation and had any amount of protection. will the Russian allow British Army Muslims to pray 5 times a day without blowing the shit out of them? No, just kill them. Pray to your God. My AK-47's my God. Or they'll drone them. They'll just literally drone them. All is fair in love and war. And Putin is so massively clever, he won't care. He won't care. They don't like having people infiltrate their gene pool in Russia. So it'll be just like, is he fighting us? Is he trying to kill our men and women, Russian men and women? Yeah. Ah, well, he's not now. So Starmer's son, he was born 2008. So what we're talking, 12, 17. So he's 17, coming up 18. The daughter was 2 years after that, was 2010. So she's only 15 coming up. I said to you many, many times that the communists are atheists. They don't believe in any God whatsoever. So I'm not quite sure why he's an Arsenal supporter, but Starmer is an atheist. And in Judaism, there's the kind of the frummers, they're right at the very top there, like proper, they've got their own set of rules. But Victoria is a liberal follower of Judaism, which is, it's like Judaism light, really. So I'm not sure they're managing any sort of reportage around the Starmers. Wonder why that is. How can I say this? Because I know of a prime minister who there was an edict sent out by their prime ministerial office, and the press were told, do not report on any of this. Now, to this day, it would get me in a lot of trouble. I was working at the BBC at the time. It would get me in a lot of trouble. But they have the power to be able to stop you telling anything. I mean, you know, if anybody was teetering on the edge and was having mental health challenges, then obviously that would be detrimental to their mental health and to the family's mental health. So they made sure that none of the mainstream media not necessarily knew about it, but weren't going to report it. So I will guarantee you, not one of the daily rags, whether it's the broadsheets or the red tops, they won't say to you, oh, you know, Sir Keir Starmer's son, he's eligible to join the army and go on the ground in Ukraine and then get bombed by Vladimir Putin. Oh, that would set World War III off, certainly in Keir Starmer's house. So we've got 20,000 active troops. He wants to put boots on the ground. How do we hear, Keir, man? You won't. You'll kill everybody else's kids and grandkids, but you won't have your own serve. I mean, at least Queen Elizabeth II had ginger bollocks there of a kind. He was a helicopter pilot, bless him. I think he thought he was his brother. I mean, there's some weird stuff going on. What's that? Des Ashton. Dora. That's why they call it a D notice. Or Orchidia on a 20,000. I know it used to be 100,000, but then you've got all the logistics and all that kind of stuff going on. But we've only currently got 20,000 active troops. And the D notice, was Thomas Hamilton the last D notice? Might have been. I think there was a gentleman's agreement with the press around ginger bollocks. But he thought he was Superman. He thought he was like, you know, he thought he was a bit like maybe tank commander. Maybe he thought he was just, well, you know, I'm in the army. I can take anybody on me. I can kill anybody. Give me the gun. Give me the gun. So let's have a look at Europe. Johnny Ray, Diana, Terry Wookford. Is that before? Sorry, Andrew James, Terry. Is that before or after? I don't speak English. When I go abroad, I say to them, do you speak English? No? Well, fuck off then. Look, I've been doing it an hour this evening, and I haven't sworn that much. So let's look at Europe. I've said to you that they'll kind of pick things away. And as I say, I leave things here so that you can watch them again and think, hang on, did Adrian say that? When did he say that? Whenever it was in the press or whenever it was, then I will say it. I don't pick it out of the air. I respond to stuff. So let's look at what Europe are going to do. So Europe are now bringing in a disinformation code. I'll say that to you again. Europe, not us, Europe are bringing in a disinformation code. It becomes mandatory under the censorship law. Platforms preemptively enforce rules ahead of the German elections. So it's kind of already happened that they've said that's disinformation, that's disinformation. I can't even bloody say it. But we already have social media platforms who are saying, oh, no, we're going to have fact checkers. Well, you can have it in shite, man. We've had enough of your bloody fact checkers. We've had enough of disinformation because it's government propaganda that's sticking out disinformation and misinformation before anybody online. Me and you, we would have a conversation. It's not disinformation. It's not misinformation. It's just an exchange of ideas. It's just an exchange of opinions. But no. Your government doesn't even love you. Just keep working and give us the taxes. So the inevitable slide of the EU's, and I use this word advisedly, voluntary, at least in name, disinformation code. This is the 2022 version, so it's been around for a few years. They want to make it into a mandatory rules integrated into the Digital Services Act. Fan my brow. It's not like we didn't see that one coming. It's not even, we know that they don't act in the best interest of their people that they're governing. They don't. They're just drunk with power. So the Digital Services Act, the DSA censorship law, will become enforceable this July. But we're not in Europe, are we? So whatever happened to the online safety bill? That was given royal assent. Charles the Weak sat there with the missus going, oh, yes, and the child safety bill can now ascend into law. And what's happened? Nothing. So now the Europeans are telling us that their Digital Services Act, DSA, is going to be enforceable this July. If that snake oil seller, you know, the one that I keep telling you about, is he scaring you yet? And how can you tell when he's lying? Most of the time. His bloody lips move. So now, July, how very dare they? If they bring anything out about the same time, you know you're being bent over your desk and you're being rogered by some moron or morons that want to do it for Europe. And Europe are shitting themselves over Donald Trump. They're shitting themselves over the evisceration of the wokerati. They are shitting themselves because they haven't got any power. There's Ursula von der Leyen. Have you seen how big her head is? It's a little poison dwarf. And it's not like stick a turtleneck on or something, just to kind of bring your head down in some proportion with your body. Next time you see Ursula von der Leyen, poison dwarf, big head, small body. I bet her mother screamed when she was giving birth. We have data use and hang on a second, I'm just going to make sure I can see that. Data use and access bill currently sat in the Commons stage in Parliament. Wait till people hear what it entails. People will go mad. The interesting thing is, Terry, that we've already got a bill, the online safety bill, because they said, oh, it's the kids. We've got to protect the kids. My hairy backside. They're not protecting the kids. They're just making sure you can't find out stuff like how many kids Keir Starmer's got and their ages. Honestly. It's not even the 77th. The 77th Brigade is just kind of one of those that people mention because they think they're intelligent. There's other proper other. Lovely. So not only is there that, I'm now going to scare you. Because I'm not sure whether when you were like 5 and 6, I don't know whether you could play with worms in the garden and whether you'd ever eat them. If your parents ever saw you chewing on a worm, oi, 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 oi. But the EU, and this is the organisation that people want us to go back to, bankrupt the country to keep that bloody thing going. The amorphous mass, the great big red blob in Europe. So what the EU has done, and you won't read this anywhere because it's not in the mainstream media anywhere. The EU has approved mealworm powder to be added to your food. I'm not winding you up. This is fact. This is truth. The EU has approved mealworm powder in food. Now, starting this month, European consumers may find a surprising new ingredient on their ingredient list in your everyday meals. They UV treat the mealworm powder under a new EU regulation, but up to 4% of this insect-based protein can be added to bread, cheese, pasta, and other products. So while the French and the Germans and the Swiss are all eating that, I mean, you know, you and I can't scream, oh, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I'm not eating mealworm powder. Too late. Because the EU, they want you to eat on crickets. They weren't lying. Everybody laughed when they went, oh, Ursula, darling, you want us to eat crickets, do you? You want us to eat bulls and kangaroos' testicles, do you? I bet there's not been a testicle past your lips all your life, Ursula. You can tell. So they're allowing the Europeans to add up to 4% of mealworm powder, treated by UV light, obviously. So don't eat bloody bread when you go to Europe, or cheese, or pasta, and other stuff. And I'll guarantee you that if you go into, I mean, it'd be like Spain and Portugal and the holiday places, you go out there and go, oh, let's get an Airbnb. Yeah. We're not going to stay in hotels. I will guarantee you that the hotels won't tell you what shite's in your food that they're serving on your plate. Oh, is it all you can eat? They're going to be putting stuff in the Europeans' food, up to 4%. That's just a start. A bit like lockdown. It's only going to be for 5 or 6 weeks. 2 years later. So let's talk about the golden showers, as I wanted to, because you need to get a grip on this. So the US banks are flying gold. I mean, I've got a feeling that you're in the field. I love a good dead fly pie. I love a good dead fly pie. Oh, little difficult to enunciate your words. Alan says, pensioner burgers next. Oh, no. I don't know. I will ask questions if I get a bit of gristle, though. So the reason why I mentioned Gordon Brown earlier, the reason why I mentioned Fort Knox earlier, the reason why I am telling you to keep these on these snake oil sellers, because they're at it. They're all at it. That's why they end up being multimillionaires on $165,000, $170,000 a year pay. So the US banks, central banks, the Fed, are flying gold worth billions of dollars from London, our nation's capital, to New York. So why would they be doing that, Adrian? Well, I'm going to tell you. Here's why. Major banks like JP Morgan and HSBC are flying gold across the Atlantic, seemingly, to cover losses on short positions. In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, you can hide away and shite because I know you're lying through your teeth. No, they're not flying gold into New York to cover short positions, with much of the gold landing in New York City, where it's currently worth more than in London. Have they shown you Fort Knox yet. No, they need gold bullion in Fort Knox. And it's sleight of hand. It'll be, oh, look at this. Look at all this gold bullion we've got in Fort Knox. And then the banks are going, lads, London? Yes, thank you. Can we borrow your gold bullion for a few weeks? Just while we have the press come and attend a press call at somewhere. And then once all the press have gone, snap, 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 snap. Oh, yeah, look at all that gold in Fort Knox. Look at all of that gold. It's back over to Blighty. They've used it, and everybody's happy. Because then nobody finds out that there's no gold in Fort Knox. They've done some testing on it. It's bloody silver, man. That's why they need the gold. Hello, London. How much will it cost us to hire some gold for? It's just a film. It's a Hollywood film, but we need real gold. We're doing Ocean's 23. So could we have some of your gold, please? We'll hire it. How much would you hire it to us for? How long do you need it for? Just a couple of weeks. All right, okay then. Can we put our own security on it? Yes. It's just Hollywood. It's just Hollywood and Ocean's 23. And, well, they're trying to get into Fort Knox. But obviously, we can't let people know that you can break into Fort Knox. No. But thank you very much. And we'll pay the interest. So they found silver in Fort Knox. Nobody knows what's in there because nobody's seen it since 74. Do you realise that's 50 years? Nobody's been allowed to view the gold. There's been loads of senators and high Hedians in the Americas going, chaps, can I have a look at the gold, please? No, you bloody can't. How do we? But I just want to have a look at it. Just open the vault and let me see all the gold. I just, I've got this thing, this golden thing. What golden thing? Oh, I just want to see it fall from the sky. Lovely, golden showers. Lovely. So keep watching it. Because the mainstream media are not going to tell you. I'm not meaning to scare the bejesus at you again. Vatican gold in Fort Knox. Is it really, Ray? I mean, they're now telling us that the Pope, he's got problems with his lungs, both of them. He's 88-year-old, the old boy. But look, better than Archbishop of Canterbury. Do you think I could apply for being Pope? I mean, I've been the irreverent reverend for a couple of years. I know me way around a church and a Bible. Not their Bible, obviously, but a Bible. I wonder if I could apply. Buy it in London, sell it to the Fed in the US and pocket the change in rates. Well, it's like the LIBOR rates. They cheat on everything, every which way to make money. But I now want to sort of show you how the media are trying to scare the bejesus out of you. But because we're awake now, we don't take their shite, really. Technical term. But we don't. We don't. Whatever they say to us now, it's like, oh, don't be stupid, man. Do you think I got off the last banana boat? Yeah. So this meteor, like a year ago, they were saying, well, there's a meteor heading towards Earth. What if it hits the Earth? And then people went, so what's the chance? 1%. So there's a 99% chance it won't hit Blighty. It won't hit the Earth, the blue pearl, the blue pebble, whatever they want to call it. So they identified, scientists, these clever people, they identified a potential minor threat to Earth. 1%. They called it asteroid 2024 YR Yankee Roger 4. And they reckoned it's got an estimated diameter of about 50 metres. Honestly, I've got gonads bigger. And it's got a trajectory that's a bit wobbly and uncertain, and they're not sure. And they're making the uncertainty the thing. Because they can say to you, well, we're unsure, we're not certain. And these are scientists. Yeah, this was a year ago, Terry. I'll get that 8% in a second. So the trajectory is highly uncertain. So they'll say to you, if it does hit anywhere, like a Russian forest, and flattens all the trees, they'll go, well, we kind of knew, but we were unsure because of the trajectory, and they'll try and bamboozle us with, bullshit baffles brains. And they say there's a chance of striking Earth. So over the past few weeks, the probability of impacting Earth has steadily increased from a percentage point last year, 1.2%, to 2.3%, to 2.6%, to 3.1% at the moment. I'm not sure where you got the 8% from, Terry. So they're saying that this asteroid has, the Tunguska forest flattened by a meteorite, they reckon. It has the Tunguska-like destructive potential, and yet these probabilities are expected to keep increasing. Of course they are, because it's fear porn. It's like, we'll look up and see, I don't know whether you've seen the processional planets that have been around our moon over the last few weeks, whether you look at any kind of astrological aspect, but they're going to increase the probability of it hitting Earth. Before, most likely, they drop to 0 the week before it arrives. So they'll keep you scared witless until 2032. It's 2025. We've still got another 7 years-ish, and they're going to try and scare you. But there is a reason why the Earth has safety mechanisms around it. Van Allen belt, gravity. So they're saying, oh yeah, it'll hit Earth. No, it won't. It'll bounce off. But they're going to keep you scared for 7 years. And so that's why they want us to be fearful of any kind of future impact. Now, in your lifetime, when was the last time you saw anything, an asteroid, hit Earth? It's more like space debris that comes into the atmosphere. I mean, have you tried anything from outer space, getting past all the space junk that's circulating this planet? 2032. They're not telling you that it's 2032. They're just telling you that you can kiss your backside goodbye because there's a meteor going to hit Earth. Well, it's now got a 3% probability of it hitting with huge energy that will leave a proper dent in the old crust. So just keep watching it. And every time you see it, laugh at it. Laugh at it. It's not going to kill us. It's not. They just want us to be frightened, scared. Well, I'm not. So they can Hathaway and shite, man. Or they can Foxtrot Oscar if they want it a little stronger. I did say to you a little earlier when we started this live that I asked you a question. Where's all the news gone? Now, I can tell you, because I do buy the newspapers every day, that is 3 newspapers. Can you see that? That is 3 newspapers. Now, most of that's the Daily Mirror, Daily Mail, and the toilet paper. There's now in them. And I've been trying to work out why, and I think I've got an answer of sorts. So I read them today, and there's no news in them. I mean, you've got the Montecito moron on the front. Oh, she's proper in the shite. I'm going to get to that in a second. Proper. And there's no news. And I'm sure if you either go to the pub or you're talking in your family or you're talking with your friends, there's now going on. There is stuff going on, but there's not much stuff going on. But there's loads of stuff. So why is it not in the press? As I said to you before, where's the news gone? Because it hasn't gone anywhere. But I said to you, USAID, who was, I'm hoping that so let me give you some facts. So USAID, there are still Americans call it USAID. I mean, how stupid and thick are these? Just intellectual pygmies. So the Globalist network out of Europe, of course, we've had over the last 10 days or so, we've had this Doge purge, and they found the USAID network to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars has been spunking it up the wall. And the Americans have gone, like the Trump administration have gone, oh, hang on a second, lads. How much are we paying journalists around the world? Well, the odd penny or 5. So the globalist liberal Soros non-governmental organisation network is, well, they're legging it because they're being found out in America. There's all these, they're watching the search engines, and they're monitoring the search engines. And in Washington, D.C., they're trying to work out how to sell houses. They're trying to work out how to stay out of jail. They're trying to work out all the kind of bits and pieces. And they're so stupid, these moronic idiots, that they're doing this, and the search engines are going, oh, it's spiking in DC. Why are they talking about how to sell your house quick? But, you know, the globalist, liberal, Soros, non-governmental organisation network, they're legging it to Brussels because Trump has said and has dealt a major blow to their activities. So USAID, as I was saying, there's loads of these fails. So Musk, the richest man in the world, and the president of the United States, who doesn't take his wage that he is allowed being president of the United States, he just gives it to charity. Don't need any more money. So when you've got two men ruling the Western world almost, that money doesn't matter to them, it matters to the grifters in the Senate or in the Houses of Parliament, because you can guarantee, as sure as eggs are eggs, that if it's happening in the States, it's happening in this country. They're just a little bit more cautious about it in this country. Tom Harney's Rory Stewart's missus has had $1 million funding stopped. That's why they're all screaming like stuck pigs. That's why they're all going, no, 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 you can't do this. No, 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 what the bloody hell, no. Yeah, he can. He can do whatever he wants. So there's billions, hundreds of billions of dollars gone missing. And America's got a $36 trillion debt that they can't trade their way out of using GDP, gross domestic product. They can't trade their way out of it. But they're looking at it, and I don't think the biggies happened yet. I think they're just baby steps towards defence, towards Medicaid, towards the big ones, where people have got fingers in pies and are taking out millions, millions, millions. Like Nancy Pelosi is worth hundreds of millions. How does that work? $175,000 a year as a senator. How does that work? So in total, this is the US-funded independent media. So in total, USAID spends over $250 million yearly training and funding a vast, sprawling network of more than 6,200 reporters. That's the journalists, the snake oil sellers, the liars, at nearly 1,000 news outlets or journalism organisations, all under the rubric of promoting independent media. So all the journos are bought off, all the news outlets are bought off. The BBC got funding from USAID. How does that work then? Who got their grubby little mitts dirty with that little deal? Because we are always told that the BBC is funded by the licence fee. No, you're wrong. Not only is it funded by the licence fee, it's funded by the American government. How the fucking hell does that work? Now, I'm not the brightest button on the blazer, but please, somebody, somewhere, anyhow, explain to me what the fuck the US administration, government was doing, paying off the BBC, and for why. Because that smells of corruption to me. You're taking money from a foreign entity, from a foreign government. You have a commercial arm. The BBC shouldn't even have a commercial arm. Selling off our heritage. So how did the BBC manage to get multi-millions out of US aid? And for why? Propaganda, perchance? So Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, they've been targeting USAID and the US Agency for International Development. And honestly, they've been revealing some absolutely ridiculous amounts of taxpayer money being spent on projects around the world. I've said to you, if it's happening in America, it's going to be happening here. And there's the moron going across to Ukraine, to little Sniffy, going, right, what we're going to do is we're going to give you £3 billion, pounds, not dollars, pounds per year for the next 100 years. 300 billion pounds. And we can't give the pensioners their winter fuel allowance. They can't give the waspy women some kind of compensation. But he'll spunk all over Sniffy Zelensky $300 billion. What is it? Do Ukraine hold gay orgies or something? So as part of the process with USAID, this is the kind of stuff that it just blows your mind, or should blow your mind. The US Department of Defense handed $9,147,532. Have you heard of the news agency Reuters? Now, it's supposedly one of the most respected news agencies around the world. Hideaway and shite, man. They've had their fingers burnt because the US Department of Defense handed them over £9 million for, and I quote, active social engineering defense, ASED for short. That's large-scale social deception, LSD for short. So the USAID, overseen by Brown Trousers and Obama. Where's Big Mike gone? Anybody seen him lately? Big Mike, Obama, and, Billy the Spunker on Monica Lewinsky's dress. Some people are saying that Monica Lewinsky was a Mossad asset. Well, she would be, wouldn't she? Come on, Bill! Come on! I've got to be back home in 5 minutes, man! Oh, Bill, man, all over me bloody dress. How could you? Brilliant! We'll keep that one from the cleaners. Now, some people have asserted that the funds were used in the context of the COVID pandemic to socially engineer the public to swallow, here we go again, Monica, to swallow government narratives about the jibber jabber and the V for Victor. Now, the UK, because you're wanting to know what Starmer's up to, don't you? Now, the UK spends over £80 million on media in 20 countries around Russia. So the propaganda, the government pays for propaganda. That's why the BBC's there. What do you think the World Service is? It's a bloody propaganda machine. So 20 countries around Russia, and we're spunking 80 million quid on journalists to write what we want them to write. Honestly, I'm in the wrong thing. Journalist? No. They loosely, I'm a citizen journalist, or I'm a journalist. You've never been to university, you don't have a degree in journalism, you don't have any experience as a journalist, so you just fancy calling yourself a journalist? The British government is spending tens of millions on media projects in Eastern Europe, which are often presented as fighting Russian disinformation. So you can see that gobshite, he'll come out and go, oh yes, well, you know, the British government, we've been helping our allies to deal with Russian disinformation. No, you've just been spunking taxpayers' money that you said we didn't have to give the elderly the winter fuel allowance. Twat. But the money, because they're saying it's going abroad, they're not saying that it could involve the UK's own information operation. They think we are stupid. Because honestly, you just know they're corrupt. They are corrupt. So now you know where the news has gone. They've stopped all the journalists are not getting paid. They're giving money away, and they've stopped all of that. They've had to. The Americans have had to, because they were just spunking so much money that they had to. Can I get to something that I've been really, I am excitedly, I can't wait for more paperwork to be released. But, so they've said to us, they're going to release the JFK papers. They're going to release the RFK newspapers or papers. They're going to release the Martin Luther King papers. They're releasing all of the assassination papers on all these American luminaries. And the woman in charge came out and said, yeah, we're going to release the JFK papers. And we know there was at least 2 shooters. And I thought to myself, hang on, we've known for 50 odd years that it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald. As he said, he was a patsy. And Jack Ruby, I mean, dead men can't speak. So Jack Ruby, pimp, just came out. I mean, he went into jail, seemingly. Do I trust the mainstream media? No. So Jack Ruby was in jail and died of syphilis or something. And I know that was Al Capone. I'm just saying, for facetious sake, that he shot Lee Harvey Oswald and killed him. And then he was jailed. But it's the Trump admin that are saying, the Trump government, they've now said there was 2 shooters on it. So that absolutely blows the narrative right out of the water, including what the Warren Commission published. I mean, like thousands and thousands and thousands of papers are shite. They even made it into a book. It was shite. The magic bullet theory, it was shite. Because they're now saying there was 2 shooters on it. Now, I've told you before, I believe that it was Woody Harrelson's father, who was an assassin, that fired the coup de grace. Some people are saying, "Oh, it was the driver. He turned round and shot him in the head." I mean, yeah, right. But Woody Harrelson's dad was down in the drainage system and had his gun, which is why when JFK got hit in the side of the head, it was up, and that's why he went backwards, because they blew his head off. And Lee Harvey Oswald was the patsy, the cover story, because I'm hearing Mossad, because he'd upset the Israelis over something. I heard Cuba. I heard that Castro, Israel, AIPAC, CIA, and yet little Lee Harvey Oswald, who might have had some allegiances to Russia, was the patsy. So if the Trump government can come out within a couple of weeks and go, right, we're releasing all the paperwork, 2,500 pages worth of it. I mean, I'm sure some of it will be redacted. It has to be, because some of the people that they may accuse might actually still be alive. Terry, I agree with you, but I don't think it's going to be that straightforward. CIA, FBI, why did the CIA want him done? Was he querying their pitch, so to speak? Paulie Gallieri says it was Mossad. I think there was, like Diana, there was more than one team on the car crash, Diana's car crash. There's more than one team on it. I'd heard there was 3. I'm not going to go any further than that tonight, but I'd heard there was 3. And each team didn't know about the others. And the car that made them crash, flashed the light and made them crash, that was across the channel and scrapped within hours. Before it was hitting all of the front pages, that car was gotten rid of and scrapped. You know, was the mention of the guy in the car, the little Fiat with a dog in the front. JFK was about to expose corruption, says Ray Norton. But if you look at what Trump's doing, he's exposing corruption on a humongous scale, on an industrial scale. And there are mostly politicians making a shit ton of money out of this because there's billions going missing. I mean, there was Donald Rumsfeld the day after, or 2 days after 9/11, sorry, pre-9/11, the day before 9/11, he said, he stood up at the White House and said, lads, sorry, we've lost $3 trillion. And the journalists were like, you've what? Yeah, we've, don't know where it's gone. $3 trillion of taxpayers' money. Defence spending. It's just gone. And then we have 9/11 and everybody forgets about it. Whoa, that's a bit convenient. So JFK, I mean, they're talking about Marilyn Monroe being taken out because she knew too much. I mean, I'm sure that they were bugging every room that JFK was in and Marilyn was in and RFK, because both JFK and RFK were both having their wicked way with Marilyn. Mucky tart. So I can't wait. I mean, I'm sure the papers have been published, and I thought, well, I wanted to do it last week, but now that I'm feeling a little better, I am going to have a look and see what papers are online, if at all. Super Ted says, just been talking to a lad in Miami, and he told me the governor of Philadelphia organised a hit on Donald Trump and wiped that kid out. Yeah, I'd heard that. But I think that the Donald is not mucking about now. He is not mucking about. And I'll save it for Sunday, but I do have a take on what the Donald is up to. It's just breathtaking. What is America? Money's corrupted America. The whole system is corrupt. And can you imagine anybody else other than Elon Musk and his big balls going into the American government saying, right, lads, show us your ledgers, show us your money, show us your software packages that you use for accounting of stuff. Oh, there's things that you can't account for. Really? Billions of dollars have gone missing. And how would that happen then? I don't know. Ray Norton hit the nail on the head. It's a takedown of the cabal. Anna Paulina Luna. Yeah, Terry, agreed. I've seen the videos, Terry. I've seen the videos. Obviously for research purposes. That American swimsuit. What are you talking about, Adrian? You can say that. I can't possibly comment. Lauren Taylor, Rupert Lowe was going to raise questions about TR. It's not fair. Whatever way you look at it, he ain't no rapist, murderer, pedo, etc., all being released early or not even jailed. I agree with you, Lauren. I agree. That's why he's called 2T Ikea. But he's been found out. And I will say this again, and I will say it again and again and again. The Labour Party will never be re-elected by this country ever again. They know that. That's why they're stopping people voting in the local elections, because it's going to bring the local councils down. The whole political system is in chaos, and the Labour Party know. The doyens in the background that don't ever show their ugly fizzogs, they know Labour will never be elected again, ever. The party is finished. Starmer has killed off any chance Labour had of power. And even Rachel Reeves, I mean, she can't. They're back at her again for the lies. And they're at other ministers for not even qualifying as a solicitor and saying he's a solicitor. So DT is putting very loyal allies in all the important places. I agree with you, Napoleon Bonaparte. So a couple of things to make you go, So RFK Jr. is kind of like the health secretary, the American health secretary. And he's not mucking about now because he's got a brain on him that's obscene. But, you know, the Charlie 19 V for Victor, it faces a ban for all Americans. There's even a chance that Dr. Fauci is going to be get a local court, and he could end up going to jail. Now, the Trump team have all the way along said that if it's not needed, it's not going to be used. So a V for Victor ban for all Americans, according to the Trump team. Now, several experts are poised for like major jobs in the US health agencies. They subscribe to the disputed idea that the jibber jabbers were caused widespread side effects and deaths. A doctor has come out. He's been nominated to lead the National Institute of Health in America. He's backed a petition. I'm not using his name on purpose at the moment. He's backed a petition calling for the mRNA jibber jabbers to be paused and retested. Now, this has been reported in the Daily Mail. I know for sure that the V for Victor was never a V for Victor because it has to go through safety trials of 5 years. And only now, in 2025, would those safety trials be complete. Now, this doctor is one of the signatories of the HOPE Accord, which claims there is a causal link between the mRNA shots and an alarming rise in excess deaths worldwide. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has privately expressed concerns about the V for Victor and signalled he is open to axing them if the data supports it. Of course, the bloody data supports it. Some of us have been well aware. I never had a jibber jabber, not a single one, because I worked out early doors that there was shit flying and they were up to stuff. You can't trust these snake oil sellers under any circumstances whatsoever. And, you know, my heart bleeds and goes out to any parent that has a little one, and you've got to make those decisions. You are not only coerced into your child having some of these jibber jabbers, but you are forced to. I'll give you one example. At school, at 10 years old, we were all forced to get the TB jibber jabber. So they would jab you on your wrist, and if it stayed up, it meant that you got natural immunity to TB. Did our bollocks. I had to have the jibber jabber. So I had the jibber jabber. Felt ill for a couple of days, and then I was fine. And now, ask yourself a question. If all of the children in this country have been inoculated against TB, how are instances of TB on the rise in this country? It doesn't take Einstein to work this one out. It's being brought into the country. Oh, hang on a second. Who's bringing it in then? TB was virtually eradicated in this country because everybody was getting inoculated against it. And now it's on the rise again? Honestly, I am not the brightest. Somebody please tell me, because it's paining me. How can we have a rise of TB when everybody in this country using the NHS at school gets inoculated? You can smell it coming over the water. So there's a retraction notice to deaths induced by compassionate use, that's how they're terming it, of hydroxychloroquine during the first Charlie 19 wave. And following a careful consideration of all available information, somebody put an article out, and and they're now retracting articles in mainstream media, in magazines and mainstream media, especially in America. This deaths induced by compassionate use of hydroxychloroquine. They're trying to scare everybody away from hydroxychloroquine, which dealt with the Charlie 19. And a hit piece on hydroxychloroquine has had to be removed because it's factually incorrect. So the decision to retract was made due to two major issues: the reliability of the data, no shit Sherlock, and choice of the data. So the Belgian data set in particular was found to be unreliable. They're never going to get reliable data set. They're never going to get reliable data because there isn't any. What I'm saying to you is they're lying. They're blatantly lying to you. They're lying to your face. And there'll be people saying, you can't say that, Adrian. Oh, can't I? Well, speak to the dead then. Speak to the V for Victor damaged. And Fauci, in my view, evil should be hung, drawn and quartered. If it was the medieval times, we would have been hanging him from a tree. Because these people are only interested in money. They're not interested in you as a human being. They're not interested in the greater good. They're not interested in doing what is right and proper for the greater good worldwide. They just want the money. Now, the assumption that all of the patients that entered a particular clinic were being treated the same pharmacologically was incorrect. So those two issues, the reliability of the data and the choice of the data, meant that this magazine editor-in-chief found the conclusions of the article to be unreliable. In other words, they call them untruths. Unreliable. I'll call them straight out fucking lies. Therefore, the article needed to be retracted. They're shitting themselves now because they're getting found out. Every which way they're getting found out. Whether it's the NGOs, whether it's the WEF, whether it's Davos, WEF, NGOs, whether it's American media, whether it's the mainstream media, whether it's USAID and buying off of the journalists. Over 6,000 journalists at 1,000 news outlets. And they're all lying to you. And the way the game works, if one journalist reports on something, all the other journalists report on that one something that's been reported. And that's how the message gets around. Because they can say, oh, Adrian Allen's Theatre of the Mind said this, and they'll report on saying this, and then just publish it worldwide. That's how it gets out. That's how it gets around. And you're getting paid a shit ton of money by USAID. Never trust anything that comes out of Reuters, because they are being bought off to the tune of over $9 million. I've told you before, in this country, they buy off the newspapers, the mainstream media, by putting advertising. They're all losing money. There are rumours that Sky is losing a shit ton of money. I know that 1 year, 2 years ago, the Sun lost £50 million in a single year, single financial year. The only way they can survive is with government money. And what does the government want to say? Lies. So let's take the Trump administration. They're now shifting the strategy on avian flu. Oh, the poor birds, man. We'll end up choking our chickens next. So the focus moves from culling to biosecurity and medication. Now remember that bird flu was going to be a rerun of the Charlie 19 playbook. But this time with bird flu, the pandemic planning bioterrorists are indirectly blackmailing us by targeting our food. They want to coerce us to accept more of their unsafe and ineffective V for Victor into our food supply and those who supply it. I've already told you about the Europeans. Mealworm, up to 4% mealworm powder in your food. Oy, oy, oy. I mean, I've eaten some shit in me time, but mealworm powder, that ain't, it's a bit like anything with a blue vein, will not pass my lips, including mealworms. So I would suggest that RFK has got the V for Victor cultists in a spin. So if he sticks to his word, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will be a bull in a china shop, in my view, causing havoc and shattering egos and ethically dubious contracts in the lucrative governmental pharmaceutical complex. Yeah, they're going to stop all that. I'm going to do another couple of things. I want to talk about Chagos, climate change, and Volodymyr Zelensky, to round off Ukraine tonight. He said that Ukraine would not be participating in the up-and-coming talks in Saudi Arabia and would not recognize any agreements made on Ukraine without Kiev's involvement. Now, one, it's all my born days, it's been Kiev, not Kyiv. Who changed that bugger then? So was Kiev Russian? And the Ukrainians are like, no, we're not going to have any more names that's got anything to do with Putin or Russia. So there's going to be three steps to peace in Ukraine. And please, over the last year, I've been telling you every single time that Putin wanted peace, that once Zelensky worked out that he'd killed a generation, 500,000 men, that Ukraine is never going to recover from. Once they'd reached that limit, he was shitting himself because he knew the only way was defeat. So what's going to happen is, step one, there will be a ceasefire. It will be announced as a ceasefire. Lauren Taylor, as always, informative and entertaining. It's almost 10 and you haven't been well. I know. I want to keep going though. I've got 2 weeks built up in me. I've got to get rid of this somehow. So the first step is going to be a ceasefire. That will be announced soon because there's already a ceasefire. There's going to be elections in Ukraine. You know why there's going to be elections in Ukraine? Because Sniffy Zelensky can get his Colombian marching powder's arse out of Ukraine because he was a never elected president. He was installed by the bloody Americans, man. And he's kicking off going, oh, no, you can't interfere with it. Yeah, go off, mate. Foxtrot Oscar, take your missus and her Bugatti and her bags and her Louboutins and Foxtrot Oscar. Oh, you can go and stay in your hotel in a lat that you bought with the American dollar. Corruption? Oh, on an industrial scale in Ukraine. Everybody's at it. They're all grifting, including, supposedly, the installed Manchurian candidate president. So there'll be a ceasefire. Then there'll be elections, which means Zelensky's gone. He's finished. He's done. And then there will be the signing of a final agreement. And that is what they are negotiating now. The ceasefire's coming soon. The elections will be at some point this year. And all this buffer zone and NATO. Putin knows. You bring NATO in, I'm going to bomb the shit out of you. And if you think Ukraine's flat now, it'll be concave by the time I'm finished with it. And the ground will be so irradiated you won't be able to use it for 2,000 years. Putin's not mucking about. And Sniffy's going, well, I want to be around the negotiating table. Look, pull up your high chair. We'll give you some baby food with a little spoon and you can shut there and shut the up. And a stat that was given to me earlier today, 90% of Ukrainian media survived thanks to grants from US aid. So even the media in Ukraine was bought off by the Americans, and the Americans were getting that 90% of Ukrainian media to spout their propaganda. Putin's a bad man. Putin's a bad man. Well, all Putin wanted was energy independence for his people out of Crimea, Black Sea, Caspian Sea. And I will tell you this, the oil and the gas coming out of the Caspian Sea, it was known that this is 2002, it was known then that there was 300 years worth of gas and oil under the Caspian Sea. They also knew that there was hundreds of years worth of gas and oil under the Black Sea. And that's why Russia didn't muck about when Zelensky started getting a bit uppity on his marching powder. And that's why they put the ballistic missile into Ukraine to shit everybody up, a technical term that we use in radio, because they knew they were on the edge of winning and Zelensky wasn't. And he's killed off all of his young men. I'm telling you that the dating sites will be full of Ukrainian women because they won't be able to get any in Ukraine because all the boys have been killed. Very quickly, let's talk about the Chagos Islands. And I know it's a bit random and you're thinking, well, hang on, why are you mentioning this, Adrian? The reason why the Chagos Islands, or the deal for the Chagos Islands, has gone quiet is because control of the US and UK military satellite system is key to the Chagos deal. That's why Trump couldn't believe what Starmer was doing. Starmer acting independently, deciding what to do. And Trump's like, what the actual? Care what you're doing, man. So there's a satellite communication system used by the US and UK to run military operations, is central to efforts by Britain to resolve the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands. UK security officials are letting the word out. So now you know why it's gone quiet, because America's like, you do what? Well, can you, Starmer, and you intellectual pygmies? Leave it with us. We're big boys. We're the Americans. We know what we're doing. You shuffle off back to Lord Alley and do, have a game of chess or something. Whatever you do in his flat on your own. And this climate change? The left is lying. More and more data is coming out. More and more information is coming out. Climate change, my hairy backside. The main issue with the federal government's attempts to regulate the environment is just that. As with all things in which the federal government, there is a large degree corruption, inefficiency, and overall impracticality inherent to their approaches. So it's all bollocks. And these fact checkers who go, you can't say that climate change is bollocks. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the American government's saying that, not me. I just take what they give me and I don't miss a trick. So we've got the JFK files coming out saying there was 2 shooters on the job. There was the Diana car crash. There were 3 teams on the job. No, you've never been told that before. I've told you I'm an expert in it. And I've told you a million times. I was there in the centre of Fayed's organisation when she was murdered. So if me brake pipes ever get cut. And thank you for everyone's support tonight. I genuinely was very poorly last week. But I do really enjoy talking truths. And the CIA, conspiracy theorist, or are you a truther? I'm not the one that's having me funding cut, mate. I'm not the one that's been found to be corrupt, mate. And I'm not the one that's changing regimes left, right and centre so you can do whatever you want around the world. Oh, hard away and shite, man. You're only going to answer to one God, and I'm not talking about the orange man Trump. When you get downstairs and you shuffle off this mortal coil, you'd be like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that. For eternity. So to everyone in your very kind words, I hope you've enjoyed tonight. I hope you've had some value from the information that I've dug about for you. There's definitely more coming. We've got a whole set of stuff that we've already created for you that over the next few days are going to be published on this channel. We're not mucking about, man. Theatre of the mind, where we're more than just the headlines. So thank you for your likes. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. The next live is Sunday, 8 p.m, of course. We're getting closer to 150 lives. That's nearly 300 hours. Bloody hell. Thank you for everyone's kind words. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being patient. But most of all, thank you for your indulgence. And if there's any Battenberg left in the body of the Kirk tonight, take it home with you. I've had my fill over the last 10 days. But thank you for tonight. Really enjoyed it. And I hope you got some value out of my research. Look after yourself. Stay safe. Be well. And I'll see you Sunday for the live and more videos coming in the morning.